We all love a good redemption arc, and not just for villains. Sometimes the most annoying, punchable, or downright unlikable characters surprise you, and before you know it, you're screaming, "Protect them at all costs." So in this video, we're spotlighting the fantasy TV characters who went from hated to fan favorite, thanks to killer arcs, surprising depth, or just sheer charisma. Because nothing hits quite like a good character comeback story. Cordelia Chase, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When Cordelia Chase first showed up in Buffy, she was your classic high school mean girl with perfect hair, brutal one-liners, and zero patience for nerds or monsters. She was shallow, snobby, and constantly throwing shade. But as the show evolved, and especially when she made the jump to Angel, so did Cordelia. Beneath all the sass was someone surprisingly brave, loyal, and selfless. She went from background comic relief to a full-blown hero who sacrificed everything for the greater good. By the end, Cordy wasn't just the girl with the best outfits. She was the emotional core of the series. A true glow-up in every sense. Steve Harrington, Stranger Things. Let's be honest, Season 1 Steve was the worst. He was a cliché, cocky, petty, and totally undeserving of Nancy. But then, the bat happened, and Dustin happened. And suddenly, Steve turned into the world's most lovable babysitter. With his perfect hair, unexpected heart, and protective instincts, Steve became the unlikeliest hero in Hawkins. He didn't just grow, he transformed, becoming a big brother figure, comic relief, and occasional monster slayer all rolled into one. Now, he's not only a fan favorite, he's the internet's boyfriend. From jerk jock to king of the upside down, Steve's redemption arc is the stuff of TV legend. Regina Mills, Once Upon a Time. She started off as the evil queen, and honestly, she lived up to the name. Regina Mills cursed an entire town and ripped out hearts, literally. But Once Upon a Time pulled a fantasy twist no one expected. It gave Regina one of the most satisfying redemption arcs on TV. Through heartbreak, second chances, and a whole lot of self-reflection, Regina went from villain to hero without ever losing her edge. She didn't suddenly become soft, she just became better. Fans went from loving to hate her to just plain loving her. By the end, Regina didn't just earn redemption, she earned her title as the Good Queen. Negan Smith, The Walking Dead. When Negan swaggered into The Walking Dead, swinging Lucille and grinning like a sociopath, fans hated him, and rightly so. He smashed in beloved characters' skulls, delivered monologues like a sadistic stand-up comic, and somehow made leather jackets terrifying again. But over time, something unexpected happened. Beneath the bravado and brutality was a man trying to atone, awkwardly, grudgingly, but genuinely. His dynamic with Judith, his constant tension with Maggie, and his grudging acceptance of accountability made him interesting. And then, he got fun. Negan didn't soften, he evolved. And by the end, he wasn't just tolerated, he became one of the most compelling parts of the show. Jaime Lannister, Game of Thrones. He pushed a kid out a window in the first episode. That's how we met Jaime Lannister. Entitled, arrogant, and disturbingly involved with his sister, he was easy to hate. But then, the show started peeling back the layers, and his journey with Brienne revealed a man trapped by legacy, guilt, and expectation. His redemption arc was subtle, complex, and deeply emotional, and fans were all in, right up until that finale chaos. Still, for a while there, Jaime went from "ugh, him" to "protect this man." He became the golden boy with a conscience, and for a show like Game of Thrones, that's saying something. Caroline Forbes, The Vampire Diaries. At first, Caroline Forbes was that character, the insecure, high-strung girl who always felt like second best. She was desperate for attention and honestly, kind of exhausting. And then, she became a vampire, and everything changed. Caroline turned into a powerhouse, fiercely loyal, emotionally grounded, and surprisingly badass. She went from a clingy drama queen to the one person who could be counted on to handle chaos with grace. Her arc is one of the most impressive on The Vampire Diaries, not just a glow-up, but a complete evolution. And by the end, Caroline wasn't just a fan favorite, she was the emotional center of the show. Crowley, Supernatural. Crowley was supposed to be a one-off demon dealmaker, and somehow became one of the most beloved characters in Supernatural's massive lineup. He started off as a snarky villain, full of sassy zingers and backstabbing charm, and slowly morphed into an unlikely ally. One minute he's torturing people in hell, the next he's helping save the world, grudgingly of course. His love-hate bromance with the Winchesters, especially Dean, became one of the show's highlights, and his ability to shift from funny to menacing made him must-watch TV. Crowley wasn't good, exactly, but fans couldn't get enough of him. John Murphy, The 100. When John Murphy first appeared on The 100, he was the selfish, hot-headed wildcard everyone wanted gone. He caused chaos and nearly got himself and others killed more than once. But then came the evolution. Over 7 seasons, Murphy transformed from resident screw-up to unlikely hero. He stayed snarky and unpredictable, but he also grew loyal, vulnerable, and shockingly self-aware. His arc didn't erase his flaws, it made you love him because of them. By the end, Murphy was one of the most compelling characters on the show, a survivor, a protector, and proof that redemption doesn't have to be clean to be real. Lanfear, The Wheel of Time. In the Wheel of Time world, Lanfear was always going to be trouble. A legendary villain in the books, she arrived in the show as seductive, manipulative, and unnervingly charming. And at first, fans weren't sure what to make of her. But by the end of Season 2, she was stealing scenes and becoming the conversation starter character. Her chemistry with Rand, her complex motivations, and her flair for dramatic entrances made her impossible to ignore. She's not exactly redeemed, but she's way more interesting than a one-note villain. Lanfear is the kind of chaotic power player that fantasy fans love to root for, even when they know they really shouldn't. Morgana Pendragon, Merlin. In the early seasons of Merlin, Morgana was a bit moody and largely stuck in the background. But once she started slipping into darkness, she owned it. Morgana's descent from conflicted noblewoman to full-blown villainess gave the show one of its most dynamic arcs. Yes, she made some terrible decisions. Yes, she went full evil queen. But fans couldn't help but love her anyway. Maybe it was the cape twirls, or maybe it was the pain behind her rage, but Morgana quickly became one of the most iconic figures in the series. Tragic, powerful, and completely magnetic, Morgana went from overlooked side character to unforgettable fan fave. Do you agree with our picks for these characters that went from hated to loved? Are there any fantasy TV characters you'd like to add to this list? Let us know in the comments. Check out tvshowpilot.com for articles on all your favorite shows, and don't forget to subscribe to the TV Show Pilot YouTube channel for more videos like this.